thing, so a little bit weird. We'll figure that one out later. We're getting into game right now. That's what I wanted to check, actually. Is this a best of 3? It is a best of 3. Let's get that scoreboard up there. It's the first round of the Ballistix tournament. I already had a lot of buys this round, but there's so many good players that it was hard to give everyone that seed. And in the top left, as the blue Terran, he is Root Kelazhur, off the back of a TVT win against TY in the GSO versus the World. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, he is Maru, off the back of not being invited to GSO versus the World. No, actually. Maru has some pretty good TVT, as most of the great Terrans of our time do. But Kelazhur is no slouch. Yeah, he got a bit of an edge by going for his own proxy T-Rex against TY. Oh, look at that. And he's going to get an edge here by scouting. Oh, okay. By scouting Maru's T-Rex. Oh, did you actually see that? Oh, no. Oh, just kidding. He didn't go far enough. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's too bad. Well, that's going to complicate things. Excuse me while I fix some things. That should be better. Alright, that's very unfortunate because Kelazhur is also scouting specifically because he was going for Command Center after Barracks. It's really tough if you don't make a second Reaper, and with this scout, I feel like that was his plan, was not to make a second Reaper, like kind of get some real greed going on here. And this is like pretty worrying. His factory is also only just now coming down. And Maru, well, now Kelazhur knows what's up because his SCV finally scouted the main base. Are you serious? I just assume Kelazhur's getting these full scouts and he's not. So while he scouted there's no command center on the low ground, that doesn't mean that the barracks are at home, the factory's at home. He's probably thinking it's a 1-1-1 and it's not that bad. He did make a second Reaper though, and this Reaper just saw the Reapers of Maru, but in doing so already took damage. So he has to be very, very careful with how he uses that. SCVs are gonna have to just die for the build order sins, and that's already giving Maru a decent lead in this game because he's gonna be able to kill so many SCVs. He pops the Reapers. Kelazhur is still waiting on that factory to finish. It's just game. GG. He tried so hard and got not very far. That's really unfortunate. There is like, he actually should have had a decent build because he tried to be so thorough about his scouting, but the scouting wasn't actually that thorough. Was hoping that was rapid casting. It wasn't. It was one of the players asking me about check-ins. Not actually admin, just caster and production person. Oh, okay. Well, that was kind of a quick game, very action-packed, very just like dependent on one or two things, so I didn't really get to talk about the tournament at all, but it is week 6 of the Ballistix tournament. That puts us over the halfway mark of the regular season. So $5,000 are up for this regular season, and then $5,000 more for the playoffs. Okay, now he's here. I'm just gonna get him on the call. 1 second. Hello? Well, I can't hear you if you're talking. And it's not my fault. Skype's definitely not muted.
It was for me.
Ah, there you go. Hello.
Why, hello there.
You good?
I am.
Cool. Well, we're getting into the second game here.
And so am I.
Cool. Seems like I'm going to have to boost Skype a little bit here. Just get everyone in the lobby first.
Apparently, even after running StarCraft 2 on my PC for I don't know how many years, I still have to enable the firewall conditions just because it thinks that I need to do that now. So I've actually joined everything, and I need to make sure that I join the lobby, which is the most specific and only thing I need to join. And it looks like I've done all of those things.
Great. Glad to have you on board. Players ready to go, we're ready to go. It's going to be on Mech Depot. Ballistix Brawl does have a limited map pool, so Catalina and I don't remember the other one, Interloper will be the ones that can't be chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Choose that, then we got to get on board and tell them like no go, as those are almost try to choose Catalina, but now Mech Depot instead. Maru versus Kelazhur, game number 2. Maru got away with a 2 racks last game that Kelazhur tried desperately to scout and was ever so close to not scouting. So now apparently he's gonna get some revenge. So to the intros in the bottom left, as the blue Terran, it is Kelazhur.
Dun, dun, dun. And his opponent in the red in the upper right of Mech Depot is our Terran player Maru. With a happy little star. Apparently supporting Hardee's with today's broadcast.
It's pretty close to it, yeah. Alright, so like I said, Kelazhur may be looking for some revenge. Sends out that second SCV.
You know, some things, the more they change, the more they stay the same. Or maybe turnabout being fair play. One of those two sayings, I guess, is true right now. You know, ever since they changed the damage on the Reaper grenade, I was just thinking, you know, maybe truly this is what will stop our Terran proxy Reaper shenanigans. Well, looks like not yet.
No. The snowball effect can still be very real with Reapers. After all, they heal. And then also the crowd control shouldn't be underestimated, even if the damage itself of the grenade was nerfed. So still a very effective opener. There was like a period, like a minute. Remember I was discussing, like, will the Reaper nerf change these proxy Reapers or just the multiple barracks opener Reapers against Zerg as well? And the answer so far has been no. The Reapers are still openers, but not as snowbally or difficult to deal with as they were before. But it seems to be the exact same, well, close to the exact same situation. Maru is going to be going for a command center after barracks, but he didn't bother trying to scout, which is, like, pretty bold on his part, and it is going to hurt him a lot.
Bold. That's a great way of describing this situation. We're about to see a very I don't know, not so bold defeat here for Maru if he can't pull something out here. He's starting up the factory as well, and a lone Reaper exits Maru's base out across Mech Depot. It's gonna run into something it doesn't want to see.
Actually barely skirts by it.
Wow.
He adds that reactor, cancels it as soon as he realizes what's up, but is it already too late? Well, he takes a great start against Kelazhur's Reaper, and Kelazhur decides to go up the ramp instead of escaping. That's not bad for Maru.
Well, losing the very first Reaper is just not that great control at all. He kept running it all the way in. Now, a Marine is going to pop out here. A Marine and a Reaper will be able to push away one Reaper, but not two, and there's many more on the way.
Yeah, Kelazhur got that proxy right up against Maru's naturals, so even with that first Reaper going down and being super helpful for Maru, it still is complicated. It looks like he's a little bit supply blocked for a couple seconds as well, affecting that Cyclone, which will be the ultimate defense once it's out.
It certainly will be. That will signal the end of all things to come. Now, still, granted, lots of damage being done here by Kelazhur. He's killing off a few SCVs, but he only has 4 of his own.
This one Reaper almost dead, is not being targeted. This other Reaper almost dies as well. That Cyclone is almost out though, and Maru can finally breathe easy.
Wow, I mean, I wouldn't breathe too easily against the guy who's trying to kill me as hard as Kelazhur tries to kill Korean Terran players, but I would say that things do appear to have let off for now.
Right, for now. Did he get enough of a lead with that proxy, you know? Like, he doesn't have his own command center. The SCV count's still pretty even, but he did get faster to the tech. No, actually, that's Maru. Maru's already on his way to the starport, so, as a super effective opener, I wouldn't say that it was. It was effective enough that Kelazhur can bring it back into this game. It's not like he got slapped down. But for the chance that he had, the fact that Maru hadn't scouted, had the reactor on, Kelazhur, you know, on a different map, maybe a little bit better for Reap or something like that, he's probably already done significant amounts of damage. But now, I'm a little worried.
And worried you should be, floating these barracks back home and trying to hit a reset button on a game that he's just not going to be at parity with. I mean, Kelazhur is going to have his expansion coming up, but it's actually even almost at the same time as Maru's. But anytime you go for one of these aggressive openers and then try to reset behind it, you're just going to be a little bit further behind.
Well, Maru's trying to get a medevac in here. Kelazhur has some pretty perfect defense against just the medevac, but 2 Cyclones join on the ground, and that might be a little bit too much. He's trying to counterattack with 3 Reapers. He's going to stall at the command center, but his own command center is going to be killed. Gotta cancel that. Cancel. Okay, well, that's...
That's a steaming hole in the planet, zombie grub. That's what that is. Perhaps also an indication of what Kelazhur's hopes are in this game.
Yeah, they're not...
Steaming hole.
His chances are not that great. A 3rd Cyclone does pop out, though, and that's going to be enough to overcome the amount of Marines. Even with that medevac healing, Cyclone's pretty good units. Unfortunately, by not canceling that command center, he lost straight up 400 minerals instead of just 100, and the Reaper damage he was focusing on that caused that lack of cancel did not do equalizing amounts of damage.
Somebody needs to do the math on how many resources or how much it delays your command center, your base from coming up by just building in your main. I mean, it's just not going to be as much as Kelazhur has lost here by being a little bit optimistic.
Well, Kelazhur is getting faster stim. It's like one thing he has going for him, and the faster 3rd CC is not a bad idea. As a potential fix to his economic situation. It's just that, like, if this hadn't been off the back of losing 400 minerals, then it would have been a great idea. Now it's just like an okay one. Maru is still with the army supply lead, swapping over some tech structures right now. Still no stim on his part, but he is definitely going bio with extra barracks.
And I mean, just to fuel those barracks is going to be something that's going to be difficult for Kelazhur. He's got the double mules that have already been dropped and mining even before Kelazhur's base has even completed. He's going to try to float it out right now, but Maru's got something to say about that.
Yeah, he does. Ravens, obviously, with their auto turrets can be pretty helpful, but with only 1 more auto turret? Okay, actually, 1 more after that with 2 Ravens. It's just time buying, and I'm not sure it is something like very, very powerful. That tank will be helpful. Maybe siege up on the high ground. Maru goes for the break.
He's going to keep going for it. That siege mode is not something you have to research anymore, so you should probably make use of that. As is, the defense is going to be on Kelazhur's side as a very defensive army composition. It's going to hold for now.
Wow. I mean, that was up a ramp against not an equal amount of units, but kind of equally powerful. The composition was in a lot of ways equal. But Kelazhur, especially with that tank siege up, even if it was last second, manages to hold. Still has that SCV disadvantage, but he has a 3rd CC finishing up, whereas Maru invested that 3rd CC into, you know, production, into that army. So he's actually going to start falling behind economically, especially if he can't stall out the 3rd CC from being on location. Kelazhur looking for a counterattack. I'm not sure. I mean, you know, Maru doesn't have stim, he doesn't have combat shields, although he's getting both at the same time. I like that. That's idea a lot better. Maybe this is going to be a good push. If the tanks can actually get up against a ledge or get up against a choke, especially if they can't, like, pounce on it with stim, then this could be an absolutely great move, but it's such a small army that if it was pounced upon, it probably would have died.
Very well might have. And I believe that at least when it comes to armies and pushing out across maps, Kelazhur's had one shot at it, and the fact that he's getting a second one here is, I think, gracious. You don't really see resets very possible, especially against players of Maru's caliber, but Kelazhur might just get a second lease on life if he doesn't lose anything to Marines coming in across the map from Maru.
Yeah, Sim is almost done, so he might just be losing that tank. I mean, it was a cool idea, especially if he was able to get, like, 2 tanks for, like, no loss of his own tanks. But that didn't actually happen. He got 2 for 1, not as great, and there's just so many Marines that he absolutely had to back off. Now it's a game about positioning, as he is still the one with the lesser army supply. That stim advantage that he had is no longer an advantage. In fact, he's fallen behind on upgrades. Probably the biggest disadvantage Kelazhur has.
Yeah, I think the more advantages Maru puts in his corner that are difficult to recoup, things like upgrades, things like additional bases, not things like running into siege tank shots there, but here he is. He's going to use his tech advantage at least to run right into the back of Kelazhur's base.
Yeah, Kelazhur just, I mean, if he had tried to cover this option as well as the fronts, he just would have been split too much, so third CC goes down. The potential to come back in this game probably also going down with it. He does bring back his Vikings, but they're going to be sniped. Not so helpful. And now Kelazhur's production is under fire.
Indeed it is. It's not just the production. Any hope of an economic advantage from this position is just going to be non-existent anymore. He will stem forward. He does have that Viking behind. He's pulling the boys, but will it be enough? Maru actually might lose purchase here as his tanks fall, but it's just too much damage. GG. Maru is out on top.
That he does. 2-0 over Kelazhur. Kelazhur, you know, unlucky with the scouting in the first game, and the second game just not quite able to push that 2-axe into a snowball like his opponent did. Them's the breaks for TVT, I suppose, and it is a single elimination tournament, so say goodbye to Kelazhur, and Maru advances on to the next rounds. I just refreshed the page. It's taking a while. Hold on here. He will be facing